So let's talk about protection.
Necronomicon is coming.
So I want to say first and foremost that I got a lot of emails and comments on my videos today, and I'm insanely proud of that. I'm really happy about all the participation that I'm getting through my email and through the videos that I've been making, because it really demonstrates to me that you guys want to know what I have to say in terms of my experience and my expertise with this, which further gives me more and more motivation to honestly work with the book and to finish my manuscript, because even as I pour through all of the pages and I keep finding more and more things that I need to fix, it is honestly a big, hard job. So whenever I get emails, comments, complaints, concerns, issues from you guys, really that helps me to keep going, because I can get distracted. I can be like, oh, I'd rather, just think about it, and I'd rather work on this today, or, do a practice ritual. Well, that doesn't really help me with my manuscript. Well, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Anyway, so I thought I'd make a video on protection when it comes to doing magical rituals, because I got an email about how exactly to do that. Now, in the Necronomicon itself, it talks about, in the intro that Simon wrote in this one anyhow, it mentions that there are no effective banishings for the forces that are invoked within the Necronomicon, and quite honestly, I think that's one of those tips, tricks, and traps that I mention a lot, and I would say that I beg to differ. Now, as the tales go, that there was a lot of negative forces that befell the people that were involved in the printing of this book. I would like to say that, whenever something kind of comes out of the abyss, comes out of the crypt, is first unearthed after a really, really long time, it's going to have a lot of energy behind it. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of, things that go along with that, and that might be the reason why so many people got hurt, or there was, poltergeist activity and things of that nature. However, I would also like to say that the nature of the Necronomicon itself requires you to face yourself. It requires you to notice all those negative things that go on with you that are not beneficial to your being and are not beneficial to anyone else around you. And whether or not you change those things is up to you, but the different spirits and the forces and the energy that are invoked within the book kind of want you to change what you are doing in terms of any negative activity to make it a better one. And sometimes, like think about the TV show Intervention, sometimes changing your behavior sucks. And sometimes they really have to slap you in the face with it or scare you. Think about Intervention or Scared Straight. Yeah, those people are cornered and they're like, oh god, why is this crap happening to me? Sometimes that happens with the Necronomicon when you're working with its energies, where things might scare you into changing your behavior. If those things happen to you, regardless of the protection things that I'm going to talk about, then you might want to think about if there's poltergeist activity in your house due to the Necronomicon rituals, due to the, any rituals of calling, any Magickal burnings, any gate walking especially, or any of the Aurelia text workings that you do, you're going to have to face some things. But for those of you that are afraid of what's going to happen when you start to work with the Necronomicon, know that there are a couple of things that will keep you protected from most of the things that are going to happen, or most of the things that could happen, such as poltergeist activity from the Idimu, Alu, Gula, or Utulhul. So if anything negative does happen, then, or when you're working with the Necronomicon, or even in life, any negative thing that happens to you is trying to teach you a lesson. But if you are honestly afraid of being affected by negative things when you are working with the Necronomicon, there are two little segments that I'm going to talk about here. One is that, basically, if you are afraid of the forces that go on, or of the forces that are invoked when you are working with this book, then I would wait on it and I'd put it away. The fact is that any negative spirits, any negative energies, any negative entities that could attack you, regardless of the system that you are working, even in terms of like the monotheistic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, wow, that one took a minute, or any other spiritual path, if there are negative forces, such as demons or what have you, that affect you, or if it's necronomical, negative spirits that can come after you, the idea is that they are energetic beings, and nothing can harm you unless you fear it. And fear is the way by which those negative entities get inside you. There's a reason why I'm wearing this on the outside today. For those of you that might be a first-time watcher of my videos, this is the Amulet of Ur. This symbolizes the gate to the outside, and this represents the barrier between what is outside of me and what is inside me. I am in control of what from the outside comes in to me, and I am in control of what that is inside of me comes out into the world. And that, to me, allegorically, and through all the understanding that I've gotten from the Necronomicon, kind of, that's what I believe, basically. So this is, in a way, a summation of what of this first point, where any fears that you have, those will allow negative spirits that might be dancing around you right now, even when you're watching this on the computer or when you're in a ritual. That fear lets them in. So if you are to do any rituals that involve any magical system or any religious system at all, then if you have any fear, that's when something's going to affect you, especially, if it finds you. The fear can even attract those things to you. Think about it in this way. Like my dad, for example, he does not, or my mother's father, my father and my mother's father, my dad and my grandfather, they both are complete logical people. They do not believe in anything spiritual. They don't believe in anything that they can't, sense with the five senses. They don't think that there's anything else out there. My dad totally understands anybody that believes anything different and it works for them. Great. And I really honor him for that, because I really had no idea that he would be so accepting of my spiritual path. My grandfather, on the other hand, he just doesn't understand anything that you can't sense with the five senses. Now that can act as a shield in terms of not being affected by any negative spirits, because if you don't believe in them and you have such a staunch idea, if you have such a firm idea that nothing can hit you, nothing that is not physical can touch you, then guess what? It can't. And if it still does, that means that there's some part of you that believes that they can, and that's how you let them in. Let that sink in for a minute, because somebody might be thinking, oh, I didn't believe in shit and I got all this poltergeist crap in my house. Guess what? Part of you actually believed in that, and that's why that's part of what allowed it to happen. That's my personal belief. I wonder if anybody else is going to back me up on that. Drop it in the comments. Let me know. Anyway, so let's talk about protection. In the Necronomicon's introduction by Simon, it does mention that solar-based rituals can help with getting rid of spirits. Now this goes back to the Mesopotamian practices in magic itself, where Shamash, the deity of the sun, the Dingir of the sun, was known to be the judge, the one who judges everything, be it living or dead. And he was the one that you actually would confront before going into Ganzir to basically decide whether or not you had a good afterlife or a bad one. He was the one that judged all good spirits and negative spirits. So, given that, any solar-based ritual or solar-based spell or solar-based prayer or solar-based visualization, whether it be the Kabbalistic cross, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, I think I got it right, but the Yeshua, when you draw a cross in the air like that. I haven't used that in a couple of years, mainly because I haven't had to, but I believe that is very solar-based. Or you could use one of the prayers to Shamash that is in the Lamadu Dingir, which I haven't released yet, and I know I just kind of, baited you guys with that one. But even an invocation of the energy of the sun, if you make a prayer to it, or you can visualize the blinding bright light of the sun, or you have a candle that was made on a Sunday in the hour of the sun, different things like that. Anything that is solar-based or even heart-based can block out the negative energies, negative entities and energies that might come from your workings with the Necronomicon. Now, it just made me think about this. If you look at my experiences with Magick video that I made a long time ago, when I first started with Magick, I was stalked by shadow people for at least 6 months straight, and that was partially because I was dabbling with magic. I started to work around with the energies, and I had no idea of how to protect myself or exactly what even to protect myself from. And that's part of the reason why I got stalked, why I had those crazy nightmares where I felt like something was following me every single night, and every nightmare was like a TV episode, up until the night when I fell asleep and I actually could see third person. I'm sleeping in the bed in my dorm room, and there was a spirit standing at the edge of my bed staring at me, and that was the last time that I had a nightmare. I honestly don't remember what happened after that, if I did a protection spell or some kind of ritual afterwards, but something stopped that, or at least it was trying to send me a message. But either way, that spirit would have not gotten anywhere near me if I did not fear it, which I will admit that I kind of did, or if I did enough protection for myself to stop that from happening. So let's talk about protection in the neck. So, bear with me because I got to dig through a couple of pages, and it's about 9:16 at night, and I just got done with an astrological class, so I'm a little tired. Anywho. So, in terms of protecting yourself from negative spirits, negative entities, negative energy with the Necronomicon, the first area that I would look at, one of my wifey's sigils in here. If I can find the... dancing through the intro is always kind of a hard part. As I go through it... Alright, your first principle of protection, honestly, I think would be the Conjuration of the Fire God. Anytime that you are doing a ritual, that is one of the main things that you do after you invoke the... after you do the invocations of the 4 gates from the world between the spheres, and then the conjuration of all 4 of the gates at the end of it. So you do north, south, east, west, and then you stay in the middle of your altar, and you do the Mercidi, Mercura, Merurulu, Mermartu, Zidinger, Kiakanpa, Zidinger, Anakanpa, Utukuluta, Ardata, Kuduluta, Adalakla, Azogta, Takala, Ia Anu, Ia Enliu, Ia Enki, Zabayo. So after you do all 5 of those things, you have all 4 of the elements invoked, and you brought the circle together. Then you do the Conjuration of the Fire God. Let me take a step back here. Prior to that, you would have casted your circle, and you would have done the offering of bread and honey to the gods, which is the Enushub Amgig Absu Kish Egiga Gar Shagda CCA Amarada Ya, etc., etc. Lost my words there, but I'm not going to go... I might go into the Book of Calling to recite that. Let's see if I can just pour through this whole thing, blah, blah, blah. Conjuration of Ya Adu Ain E. Yep, Book of Calling right here. So, in terms of protection, let's go walk through the Book of Calling, and I'll explain a little bit of it. So, when you look into the Book of Calling, now, it might seem confusing as hell, but the Necronomicon in itself is really a walkthrough step-by-step. It might get confusing, but let's go with it. So, if you are looking to protect yourself in a ritual or from any other negative spirits, the first idea would be to open up the Necronomicon to the Book of Calling, and on page 99, you have the offering of bread and honey that you would do in the Brazier of Calling, which you would light a fire and offer the bread and honey to the fire. If you cannot make a fire, my next suggestion would be or if you can't make a fire big enough to burn stuff, I would light a candle, and then when you have bread and honey, you offer it, and then I would bring it out into the woods to offer it to the nature spirits. So that Inushub, Amgig, Absu, etc., etc., is on page 99. That cleanses your ritual space, right? Let's keep going. So then you have the invocation of the 4 gates from the world between the spheres, where you have the north gate, east gate, southern gate, western gate. Then you have the invocation of the 4 gates, which I already read. And then, if you honestly feel insanely vulnerable, and you feel like there's something at you, like, honestly, this has never happened to me, but if I was sitting in my house and all my doors started banging and stuff started knocking off the walls, and my lights started flickering and stuff, I would go to page 106, and I would read the Conjuration of all the powers, after consecrating my own circle to make my own safe space. We'll save that one for another vid. The Conjuration of Adu Ain E, which I already made a previous video about, that has to do with the Aurelia text. So, actually, technically speaking, I think we're done there with when it comes to the protection stuff. Other forms of protection, I would say, all right, I'm going to go past the Book of 50 Names. I'm going to find the Maklu Burning book. The Book of Maklu of the Burnings, which in my version of the Necronomicon, which is Lamadu Dingir, also includes the Surfu tablets, which has to do with cleansing yourself, which is another form of protection, because if the less gunk you have on yourself, then the better off you are going to be, and the less attractive you are going to be to spirits. So look forward to that when I make my book, when I publish it. Anyway. So, how come I can never find that freaking one? Maklu text 75. As we go on, 71, 73, 75. All right, in the Maklu text there are a lot of burnings, and they're burnings or getting rid of negative things. So if you want to look for protection, I would turn to the Maklu text on page 75. And, well, for starters, all right, you have the Exorcism of the Crown of Anu. So this one has to do with purifying your spirit. So if you feel like you are corrupt on the inside, if you feel like you are being affected negatively way too much by something on the inside, page 78 with the Exorcism of the Crown of Anu really helps. Conjuration against the 7 liars in wait, if you feel like there are things around watching you, I would use that. The Exorcism Bara Edinazu for spirits who attack the circle. If you are in the middle of ritual and you are trying to meditate and you hear noises around you, like if you hear disembodied noises, growls, or things from outside of your circle start to rumble or move or fall off the walls or whatever, the Exorcism Bara Edinazu would be perfect for that. The Exorcism Zidingir, to be used against any kind of malefic, I honestly would think is the same kind of thing if you feel threatened when you are in a circle, or honestly even outside of a circle. If you are, if you could memorize that kind of thing and you feel threatened anywhere else that you are, you could recite that in your head or even out loud if you feel comfortable with that. There's actually some in here that I have not personally used myself because I have not felt the need to. Incantation against the Ancient Ones, which is on page 84, really has to do with calming your own emotions, or calming the emotions of other people that you think might be wishing ill will against you, or wishing negativity towards you. Let's keep going through Maklu text here. Incantation of protection against the workers of the Ancient Ones on page 86, I would honestly say the same thing. La 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 la. The Exorcism Anakia on page 88 in the Maklu text, I think that would be a plea to the gods for help, if you really feel like there's nobody out there that can help you. Now, this would not be something you would use instantaneously if you felt something knocking on your door outside of the circle, knocking pictures off your walls and making crazy noises. I think the Exorcism Anakia kind of has to do with if you feel like you are at your wit's end and you feel super, super threatened by something or somebody that is just a constant threat that you cannot escape, whether it be in circle, at your job, on your leisure time, on the road, while you're sleeping, what have you. If you feel constantly threatened, no matter what the time or day, I would go with that one. The Binding of Evil Sorcerers on page 89 would have to do with anybody that you feel is affecting you negatively, especially if they are using magical means to affect you negatively. Another binding of the Sorcerers would be the same thing that I just discussed, or for the same reasons that I just discussed. A Most Excellent Charm against the hordes of demons that assail in the night on page 91. I think that would have to do with if you are doing rituals and you once again feel threatened, I would go for that. There's a lot of things in here that are meant for the same thing, but if you feel threatened, open the book up and go to the Book of Calling or the Maklu text and see which one calls to you, because a lot of times the spirit of the book itself at least would tell me, yes, use this one right now. And that's kind of how I would go through things, so that's my suggestion to you. Then you have the Conjuration of the Mountains of Mashu, which is my personal favorite. The Conjuration of the Mountains of Mashu on the last page of the Maklu text on page 92 really can confuse and screw up the ideas, the intentions, the thoughts, and the actions and the magic of anybody that is trying to screw with you, whether they be a physical being, whether they be a negative spirit, a demon, or whatever, whoever's trying to ruin your day. You know, it might make you seem invisible. It might make any of their energetics or any of the spells that they do just totally go haywire and go on a detour and not even touch you. So, in terms of protecting yourself, I'm trying to remember if I mentioned this at the beginning of the vid, but protecting yourself really has to do with how you feel. It has to do with whether or not you are afraid. The only reason why something can affect you is if you are afraid of it. Because if somebody's trying to mess with, think about it. Think about it when we were in elementary school, right? If somebody's bullying you, you know, how did you stop it? Well, as a teacher, what I learned, and even as a kid, what I was told, was the idea that if you ignore it, they don't get a rise out of you, so they quit. So the more, you can acknowledge that spirits exist. You might want to be able to see them. You might want to be able to see them all the time. And I have a great friend who was up here for a weekend a couple of weeks ago, and he is insanely good at being able to see spirits. Does he want to? No. He essentially made an agreement with spirits that he doesn't see them, he doesn't bother them, therefore they don't see him and they don't bug him. It's almost like the kid from The Sixth Sense, where he could see them, and of course they all asked him for help. If he was able to turn that off or tune them out, then of course they couldn't touch him. And he couldn't touch them, because they're on different planes. If you can see into another plane, they can see you. It's the same thing in warfare. If your enemy can see you, chances are, or if you can see the enemy, then chances are they can see you. And it's whether or not you want that to happen. You know, something might be insanely more powerful than you and come after you, well, then you still fall back on the idea that you have no fear. Because if you have enough practice with energy manipulation, protection, shielding, and ritual practice, then you have nothing to fear, because these beings are only energetic. They are only energetic. We are physical. They might be able to affect our energy, but we can change our own energy from the inside. And when they become physical beings and they're able to move stuff around, guess what? That's insanely hard for them. Do you think that they want to try to do that for too long? No, they want to try as easily as they can to screw with you, and then they run out of juice, they're tired, and they want to go back home, and they're not in the physical anymore. So, the more of a fight that you can put up with, that you can put up to them, and the harder that you can make it for them to come after you, then the less likely that you are to be affected by them. So, stepping into ritual, do a ritual bath with the prayer to Ishtar in the Book of Calling. That's my suggestion. Or meditate a lot to clear your mind of any negative crap, because that will help attract them. Use incense, smudge / sage. I think they technically are the same thing. Smudging, saging, same thing. And any kind of other oils or oleums or incenses that you like to use to cleanse your space. Never use something that you don't like the smell of, because then you're going to be uncomfortable, and that's going to let stuff in. Like, I have an incense that I burn upstairs. My fiance frickin' hates it, so I only use it when she's not around. And sometimes when I've used it and she comes home, she's like, oh my god, I can't stand that stuff. And there's a reason for that. Because if she's in the middle of a ritual, that's going to make her uncomfortable, and that's more likely that things are not going to go as planned, and that might allow for something negative to come in and screw with her stuff. So, I think about it, I kind of feel bad. I'll have to apologize when I go back upstairs. Anyway, do the things that make you feel comfortable, do the things that make you feel safe. Another thing that I just thought of is, when you step into ritual, be comfortable. If you want to wear a ritual robe, great. That adds to the psychodrama of it. If it makes you uncomfortable, I don't care. Either A, get used to it, or if you try to get used to it over like a couple of rituals and you still don't like it, throw it out, set it on fire. You know, find something that's comfortable. You have to be as comfortable as possible, and you have to have the most sound state of mind as possible when you get into ritual, because otherwise things can come in and mess with you. From a psychological perspective, this can be seen as the idea that when you step into such a psychodramatic mode, you are very open and receptive to everything that you see, hear, sense, touch, smell, taste, and feel on the inside. if you are trying to do a spell for more confidence and you are wearing something that might be ritualistically fantastic, but it makes you feel uncomfortable, but you're trying to do something to better yourself, then all you're doing is emphasizing your uncomfortability. So, protect yourself in the best ways that you find possible for you. My suggestions, if you're working with the Necronomicon, I kind of laid them out. Let me know if this totally didn't make any sense, if I rambled on too fast, too far, or if I missed out on a couple of things. And just let me know what you guys think about this video. I hope this helps when it comes to really establishing a sound and peaceful and safe temple for your ritual workings. And I look forward to hearing any comments, complaints, concerns, issues. And I'm really enjoying the discourse that I'm getting with a lot of my viewers. I recently hit 300 subscribers, and I watch YouTubers all the time that have 100,000s, millions, or whatever of subscribers, and they get truckloads of comments. But I did want to say that I appreciate every single one of you that have subscribed to me and every single one of you that have watched my videos and sent me an email. Man, I wish I would get like 10, 20 emails a day. That would make me feel amazing. Not to do my own horn or to beg, plead, and whatever, but just know that every single time that you guys email me, I greatly appreciate it. So don't apologize for wasting my time, because I would love to take the time to email anyone who wants to work with this book, or any other spiritual endeavor for that matter, because this is what I love to do. So I hope that this video made sense. Let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe, all that stuff, and check out my playlist on my channel for videos on Necronomicon magic and magical mechanics and any other things that I can cook up. And I just wanted to wish everybody some good hunting.